We're back here at the Game Trade Studios in Lamonia, Maryland. I'm Rick.
I'm Dave.
And we're here for another episode of Painting Happy Little Minis, where we're doing Ogre's Miniature Set 1, or Ogre Miniature Set 1 by Steve Jackson Games.
Yeah, it's cool to be back and get a chance to actually finish this guy off. I got a fairway on him on Tuesday, but yeah, nice to get in there and do some detailing, I think.
So did you finish a lot of guys off this week?
No, I didn't. I did not finish a lot of guys off this week. It's going to be one of those kind of shows. Fantastic. Come for the painting, stay for the high entertainment.
You know, toilet humor. It's the best.
It is.
So this is day 2 of us painting. I painted one of the little soldier here, the little mini soldier guys there, last Tuesday. I might throw something else on there a little bit, the yellow we mentioned before.
Would be good.
Just to give it a little bit more color and to match the scheme that is on the miniatures that are painted on the box here. I don't know if we can get it in the, but we can figure it out on the wide angle here.
Yep.
To show you guys that there is some yellows in there on the blues, and we'll put those on there as well, so that should be good. But before we went live, we were talking about some concepts that Ogre kind of fills, or like when you're thinking about these big massive land battles between indomitable force versus these like lower tech things.
Yeah, kind of the one versus many.
Yeah,
is what it is. So that sort of concept, looking at the different things, trying to throw around some ideas for sci-fi or fantasy or horror films that we've seen that kind of match up with that.
Well, I like the one that you said, because I'll always go to Star Wars.
Right,
you know? When you have the Death Star and you have just a whole fleet of rebels show up to try to take on this huge threat.
Yep.
But also you mentioned Hoth. Again.
I think this one might be a little bit closer to, I did like the idea of the Death Star, of course, but I think this one might be a little bit closer to the AT-ATs approaching the Rebel base on Hoth, where a lot of their weapons really are, the Rebel weapons are ineffective.
Right.
They've got to get creative to take them down. So, I think if anybody out there has got some ideas about...
some other shows that might be reminiscent of what you would envision when you're playing this game, because there are so many small troops versus the 2 big monsters that are rolling in.
The enormous ogres.
Yes.
So
we got Jack in there. Hey, what's up going on, Jack? Yes, more Ogre. Drew, we're doing more Ogre. What's up, Steven? And we got Carl and Nikos. Yo, nerds.
Yo.
We love it. So today I'll be painting, I have one of the howitzers, a missile launcher tank, and one of the heavy, I think it's the heavy tanks.
One of the heavy tanks.
Yeah. And then, of course, I'm going to put a little bit of yellow on these bad boys. And you recommended, this was... the
Avalon Sunset from the Citadel range, Citadel base. Basically, the base paints have got a great amount of pigment in them. So, particularly for yellows and reds that typically don't have a lot of pigment, these paints do, so they cover quite well. So over the blue, the sort of the mid-tone blue you've got there, that should work really well.
Should cover it up pretty good?
Yep.
All right. We'll give it a shot and take a look. So what are you guys all up to today? Anybody painting, or is it lunchtime for you? We'd like to know what everybody's up to and what your plans might be for the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Because this will be the last day of painting until the weekend. It might be. Drew said he thinks that's the only shirt you own.
It might be. I like it. I'm a big fan of the Alien franchise.
You're talking about with the xenomorphs?
Yep.
What is it, Ridley? Ridley Scott?
Ridley Scott, yep. So Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Alien vs. Predator, Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Which one did you like out of those two?
Out of
the Alien versus Predator.
I think I probably prefer the Ooh, was it the second one?
The one where they in the small town, or the one where they're down in Antarctica?
Antarctica.
Okay, that would have been AVP. Just a
AVP,
regular
that was the
one,
first
yeah.
one. Okay. So many of them.
There
I'm
are
not
a
sure.
lot. I didn't,
Yep.
you just naming them off like that. That doesn't even count the 2 prequels that are now out
Yep.
there.
So, yeah, Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Yeah, which I haven't seen Covenant yet. Have
Right.
you?
I have not seen Covenant yet either. When you've got 2 young kids, sometimes
Preach.
it's a choice between painting and going to the movies. I regularly choose painting for my downtime.
All right.
But yeah, you've got kids as well.
I do. I have 4 children.
4.
I
Oh my
do.
goodness. Okay.
Yeah, I have 2 older children. My daughter will be 25 in a week and
Wow.
a half, and my son is 21 in the Navy.
Okay.
And then I have a younger daughter and son that both live in Virginia Beach, Chesapeake area of Virginia, and they are 13 and 11.
Wow. There we go.
Yeah, I have some.
You've been busy.
Yeah, I was a sailor.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. But
There we
my 2
go.
little ones will be with me this weekend,
Oh,
which will be a
excellent.
lot of fun. They're going to Sweden for Christmas, so I won't be able to see them over the holiday there. So I'll get them this weekend, and we'll probably celebrate the youngest, his birthday, Lucas. He'll be 12 next week.
Okay. Cool.
So celebrate his birthday, and then off to Sweden they go for the holiday.
Right.
So
You maybe take them to the movies.
thought about it. I really was wanting to take them to the drive-in,
Okay.
but the drive-in is closed for the season outside of like 2 special dates. Like they have something going on the 24th, which I believe is Black Friday.
Yep.
And then they have something December 9th where they just play some Christmas movies.
Okay.
And then it doesn't open back up again until like March or April or something like that
Right.
for the summer.
It's been ages since I've been to the drive-in. Absolutely ages.
We went to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I took them to watch that at the drive-in, and they loved it.
Yeah.
When I told them last night, I was like, the drive-in isn't open. They're like, no.
Yeah, that would have been super disappointing.
So my daughter, Linnea, is a huge fan of the new show Riverdale.
Oh, okay. Radio.
I think, and they're on their 2nd season. And I've watched the 1st season and I think just the 1st episode of the current season. So when she comes, we're gonna sit down and finish
Ah, okay.
what we've missed for this season together,
Oh, cool.
and everything. So I kind of also gives me an idea of what to get her for Christmas, because just so happens I have access to some really good comic book stuff.
I was gonna say. Riverdale. That's the Archie comics.
Archie
like
comics,
basically
yeah.
Archie comics.
Yeah. It's a whole new like reimagination of how the Archieverse is, instead of being
The
this.
Archieverse.
Yeah. Instead of being this like 1950s scenario and everybody's like, "Hey, Daddy-O" type stuff. It's a very dark CW teen angsty
Oh, okay. Right.
thing, and with her being 13, she kind of relates, I guess.
Right. It fits in well.
Yeah, and she's in love with Jughead.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, no worries. Can have fun with this.
Yeah.
Everybody saying hi. We got Kanan and Garrett says he prefers his pigment counts in the Vallejo and P3 ranges. Hunter setting up the Ogre Miniature Set 2 Kickstarter. Ooh. What day does that launch, Hunter? The Kickstarter for Miniature Set 2. I know you said it starts next week, but is there a particular day? And if there is, let us know so that everybody can kind of keep their eyes open for the launch.
Yep. And if you've got any photos, if you can throw them up in the Painting
yes.
Happy Little Minis
Yeah, in the group.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I also would like to give a shout out to Geek and Sundry for using the hashtag Painting Happy Minis.
Happy Little Minis.
Happy
Yep.
Little Minis, or Happy Little Minis, yeah.
Right.
Hashtag Happy Little Minis. We appreciate that because it's obviously going to help draw traffic to us.
Yep.
We love it. Synergy.
Nice one.
Monday, November 13th.
Okay.
Okay,
next
so
Monday.
Monday.
Excellent.
So
Photos. I want to see photos.
yeah, well, I want to see some of the. I want to. What did he say was going to be from the Mark IV?
Mark IV Ogre.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of other cool stuff. There's another one. Oh, not the. Was it the Fencer? It wasn't the Fencer.
Fencer.
Something like that. That was. It's another vehicle that's almost the size of an Ogre. So I think it's great to sort of build out that variety. Gets us a little bit more towards what we were talking about, where
Yeah.
rather than just being one against the many, it's a couple of big guys against the many.
Oh, I love it.
I think that's a cool way to go.
Hunter says Riverdale is great. Yeah, he'd recommend Afterlife with Archie on the comic side. Yeah, that was a great series. Keenan wants to know, Dave, what's on your private paint table lately?
My private paint table? I'm painting, on my personal paint table, I'm painting up some Adeptus Mechanicus for 40K. 40K. I already have a lot painted, but I'm painting some of the newer models now. I've been playing quite a few games of 40K again recently.
Nice.
Got another one tonight. So pretty excited about that.
Where are you going to be playing that at?
Just played at a friend's place.
Okay.
In the basement.
He still live with his parents too?
No.
No?
No, he doesn't.
Dang.
He doesn't. Can't completely go for the stereotype, but it's all about breaking that up sometimes.
Yeah, you got to.
But
That's funny.
yeah,
huh?
so this should be good.
Yeah. I mean, I play in the basement too.
Yeah.
So it is a stereotype.
It can be a perfect space, right?
Yeah.
You own your basement, right?
I rent it.
No, okay, you rent your basement.
Yeah, I rent it.
But not from your parents. Okay.
This is really
There was a
going really
pause
well.
there.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I do not rent from my parents.
Oh, that was so close.
Uh-huh.
But yeah. So painting that. I'm still working on a big Legio Custodes commission.
Nice.
And that's so the Legio Custodes are from the Horus Heresy, sort of Warhammer 30K
Okay.
end of the spectrum, and there's lots of gold.
Oh,
basically.
wow.
All gold armor. I'm painting some vehicles at the moment. Some of the Coronis grav carriers, which are enormous bricks of resin.
Jesus.
They're really, really cool. So working on those. So yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Very cool.
How about yourself, Kenan?
It'll be a minute before we get back to what he has to say. Hunter says that they'll have Ben Williams on our Facebook Live today, showing off his paint jobs, and we'll post some pics on the group.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Excellent.
Thanks, Hunter. They'll have a whole suite of units plus some handmade terrain. He just finished up a fencer, Ogre Mark IV.
It was a fencer.
And, yeah, Dave was right. Yeah, you're on point, he said. My daughter loves Riverdale. I'm sensing a demographic theme. David Rock says that. Can we see what you are painting? Please show. Absolutely. I'll put up the howitzer I'm working on right there. Just working on the ring base on them right now. And then, so there's that guy. And then I've also got these little guys here. One of the troops, the infantry. And then if we can pull that away from
they
Dave.
look good.
Thank
They
you.
look good.
We can take a look at this Mark V.
Good.
Oh, right there.
Yep.
There we go.
And I'm going to reach down.
And look how freaking beautiful that is. It's awesome.
I think I need to get a little bit more shading in on the where those panels meet. So you can see there's lots of flat panels.
Right.
So I'm going to mix a little bit of some dark brown and in with a great P3 paint called Coal Black.
Okay.
It's black with a tinge of green to it.
And that causes gives you that depth and separation on those panels?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep, exactly. So because it's red and green is opposite on the color wheel, you get that contrast.
Right.
That immediately sort of contrast.
Listen there. Talking about the color wheel with the base, the
I'm going to
basic
throw out the
colors.
color wheel a bunch of times.
I love it. I love it. So that's one of the things, while Dave is here with us, and we hope that he'll be here with us a lot longer than, Kurt, who had to jump ship.
Well, yeah.
For a great opportunity. We're going to be learning a lot of cool techniques that Dave uses, and we're going to, if you guys have any input on that, like if you were like, hey, what about these miniatures? Do you have any, would you paint them, or show us a step in that process of, like, I'm having a difficult time putting shading on this miniature, and if we have something similar to it, maybe we can do an episode where we show how to do proper shading to give that depth in,
Yeah.
Like I look at what you've done, and I look at what like Kurt did with a lot of like the muscles on flesh
Right.
tones.
Yep.
Man, the way that you guys can make those things pop is ridiculous. So I would love to learn that.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I think, if there's anything that folks want to know,
Yeah.
definitely, and pop it in the chat. Send us a message on the group, the Painting
Yeah.
Happy Little Minis group, and we'll work those in. I think if we're able to, like, coming up, we've got, well, hopefully we'll have something like Necromunda.
Yeah, I'm going to reach out.
And on Necromunda, the Goliath gangers are one of the gangs that are in there.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys have got a lot of musculature.
Okay.
That would be perfect for teaching that sort of thing.
That's what I'm talking about. Because when I see like the ones that, even like the Dark Age
Yep.
stuff, some of those have like a lot of musculature, and we were painting some of those, and I could see that there's a huge difference between mine and what Kurt was doing for the depth, given the muscle separation,
Yep.
and it not looking sloppy.
That'd be a very cool thing to do.
And then I think next week, Tuesday, for those of you that are going to be tuning in to watch us paint, we have some options.
Oh, is this where we're going to throw it out to the
Yeah.
audience?
we've got
What are you
some-
thinking?
Well, I have the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles board game
Oh, wow, okay.
from IDW.
Yep.
And it came with a lot of miniatures.
Cool.
That would be a lot of fun to paint.
Yep.
I also have from Ninja Division the Pathfinder Worldscape miniatures, which feature Tarzan, Red Sonja, John Carter of Mars,
Oh, okay.
which are,
Yep.
we can take a look at those.
We're also, they're based on the, are they based on the film? The look of the models are based on the
No,
film? Okay.
they're more based on the comic book
the comic,
version
okay.
of them, yeah.
Right.
And then I've still got more Dark Age, and I know you like Dark Age,
I do. Love me some Dark Age.
and CP wouldn't be upset,
Yep.
if we
For
pulled
sure.
those out. So
I love how you call him CP.
isn't that his name?
Oh, Brian Steele. Yeah. I'm not sure what the CP stands for.
Me neither. I just see CP all
It's
the
in there.
time. Yeah.
it's in his
his
Facebook
name.
profile.
Yeah.
I worked with the guy for like 18 months. I have no idea. I never thought to ask. Really?
Well, if he's watching us,
Tell us, Brian.
yeah. Excuse me. Those infantry look sharp, so hard to paint at that tiny scale. Yeah, they were. I mean, they're tinier than the tip of my finger. They're so small. Those little infantry guys.
Yep.
Dave, do you use Game Color Smoky ink?
I have not used the Game Color Smoky ink at all. What's it like? What's the...
That's coming from Canon.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I have not used it either. So if anybody has, and it has any like results from their painting using it, and would love to show that off, again, drop that in the Painting Happy Little Minis group,
Yep.
so we can see it and tell us what it's like for you and how you use it, for what effect. There we go. 1 Inch Heroes, aka Drew, says, I would love to paint up some of the TMNT pieces. All right. Oh, maybe we can make you paint some of ours there, Drew. I know that Drew also, for those of you that have any interest, he's doing a charity thing right now. We're, one of our future mutual friends is he's trying to get a service dog, a service animal,
Right.
to help him cope with some of his stuff going on in his life, and they're doing a charity, and Drew has a thing going on where if you donate $5 to this, you get entered into this raffle, and the winner will get a model paint.
Oh,
painted
painted by Drew. Cool.
Yeah. And for $5 entry, that's a great price to get something painted by Drew.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, that's super cheap.
And it definitely goes to
Yeah.
help a great cause. The gentleman that is trying to get the service dog, to get one of the service dog trained and everything can be upwards of $13,000.
Yeah.
To have that all taken care of and ready. So, like I said, they're trying to raise some money. The gentleman is a prior school teacher here in the Baltimore area. So, if Drew, if you want to post anything up on that, or in the Painting Happy Little Mini groups, I think it may have already been posted, something in there. Go check it out. Help them out, and it would be a great opportunity to help a great cause.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. Very cool stuff.
But yeah, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ones do look good, though. Just so you know.
Yeah. I think I'd be able to start with those.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Okay.
And because we can do, well, depending on the models I expect, though, we can do some musculature on those
Oh,
as
absolutely.
well. Working in the green sort of spectrum.
And, there's such a huge fan base that circulates around the Turtles. You've got from the comics to the cartoons to the games, from video game to board game. They've been around forever.
Yeah.
They also had an RPG game, TMNT RPG game back in the late 80s.
That's how I first sort of came in contact with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Was not playing it, but seeing ads for it in
Right.
Dragon magazine.
Yep.
That sort of thing.
Such a good game. I played it, I want to say it was like 88, 89. And in the book, you could make your own, mutated creature. So I made I took my high school mascot, which was a cardinal,
Okay.
and made him into this power lifter, muscle head cardinal character. And he kind of had this hey, I'm going to kick your butt type situation going on here. This New
Nice.
York accent thing going. It was a lot of fun.
Cool.
So, do you play RPGs at all?
I haven't played any RPGs for a long time. But yeah, we used to play D&D every weekend.
And then
Played a little bit of what was the vampire game? Vampire the Masquerade?
Ravenloft? Oh, Vampire the Masquerade by
Yeah.
White Wolf?
Yep. Yeah, played a little bit of that.
Did you really?
Yep, probably that.
The tabletop or the LARP?
No, the tabletop. Yeah. I've never actually done any LARPing
No?
myself. No. What, you saying I have?
No.
Watching
Camera's not.
your paint.
Yeah.
People can't see you.
Yeah, he's not even
in your head.
cueing to the fact I'm going. Yes, he has.
What's going on? But no, I haven't. Actually, back in the day, there just wasn't any LARPing in sort of really going on in Australia.
Okay.
So I'm going to hand you this. I'm going to pop this on
Yeah.
the spinner. I've shaded one half of it, so people can see the difference between the shaded half and the shaded half.
There we go.
So there we go. So that's the shaded half. And it's going around.
Yeah, you can definitely see the difference.
It's a lot flatter on the.
Yeah. Especially on the back panels there where the
Yeah.
rocket launchers are. You can definitely see that depth difference from that and the shaded side, which you're seeing again here. That looks great. Dang it.
Cool.
Very cool.
So I'll just quickly finish off that other side.
So I actually have done the Vampire the Masquerade LARP.
Oh, okay.
When I was stationed in Illinois and at Great Lakes, Illinois, I participated in a LARP for an organization called One World by Night.
Okay.
And we would play in Chicago, Racine, Wisconsin, and Milwaukee to help split the time for the different, because this LARP group had on some nights 200 to 300 players.
Oh, wow.
It was huge. And
Would they all be involved in the same
storylines.
Same storyline, same game, and
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. When I first got introduced to it, it was through my roommate. He was going to medical school and is a doctor now. He was one of the storytellers, and he's like, yeah, you should come up and check it out. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Get up there, and I was not prepared for how huge it was.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you talk about a game where they talk about like having clan houses, you know, you have the Tremere, the La Sombra, the Ventru, the Brua, all these different things. And they legit had 20, 30 people in each clan at any given time. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I built a character around the Ventru. So
What was that big thing?
their big thing was they were like the blue bloods.
Okay, right.
The aristocrat types, and they had all the their big power was where they just could take damage. And as you got higher leveled up in that clan type, you could actually walk out in the sunlight for a small amount of time, and it wouldn't really bother you. So they were. Oh, they could also like forcefully like willpower, you know, control you like that too.
Right.
So, but I got killed off after about 8 months of game time because I started doing this thing where you get influence in the game with different things like police or science and medicine or newspapers and all this stuff to help manipulate the gameplay.
Okay. Yep.
And so I was like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I want to get influence in medicine. And they're like, well, what are you going to do? It's like, well, I'm going to actually call the local blood bank and say I'm a college student who has I'm doing a paper on immortality. And I'd ask whoever's working there, hey, if you had the option, it's literally a yes or no question, if you had the option to be immortal, would you take it?
Right.
And if they said yes, and the storyteller would then let me off, you know, I'd get off the phone and say thank you, and then we'd role play out me going and actually seducing this individual with the thought that they could become an immortal vampire, but I would need to have access to that facility for whatever reasons.
Right.
You know? And I got way too powerful.
Okay.
They're like, man, a lot of people want to be immortal. So that's just how deep my nerd levels go. There's just
nice. That's
no
cool.
end to it.
Yeah.
So before the episode today, we were also talking about Ogre, and you had found some information on that it was based off a book.
Yeah. So the apparently the original game was certainly I think probably inspired by, or at least sort of took a sort of direction from a novel called Bolo.
Okay.
It seems like there's a series of novels that were published like a year or two beforehand. I haven't actually read them at all. Okay. But apparently in there was a like an autonomous tank, an intelligent tank, or a series of tanks called Bolos that would sort of roam around and, I guess, fight wars.
Okay.
I think that the late 70s, early 80s would have been perfect time for all the sort of crazy, sort of amazing dystopian.
Yeah, it was huge. You had. I'm trying to think. Was it? What was the name of the publishing company back in the day that had like all these sci-fi little novels? Like, was it Del Rey or?
Oh, I'm not sure. That sounds familiar.
But you'd have like little thin novels that were like either about being out in space or in the future, and like kind of like the whole Escape from New York type situations, or even I think even John Carter, Warlord of Mars, was published by this same company.
Originally done by them.
And I could see something like this in that, or like in the heavy metal.
Yeah, very, very much so. Yeah. You mentioned like the heavy metal movie before.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely that has that. It still retains that feel. Yeah. It's still the miniatures themselves sort of like a really cool retro sort of touch to them, which is great. It's very neat.
Yeah, definitely retro, especially with the antennas or the batteries that look
Yeah.
like the old Jetson antennas on your.
It's something. It's really bug-like. It has a.
Yeah.
Oop. There we go. Yeah, the two main batteries at the front look like great highs and definitely cool.
Keenan says he's trying to pick his next project. Hey, James is here.
Hey, James.
Keenan's trying to pick his next project. How do you pick what color primer to use? I see a lot of the units are gray-white, but the Mark V looks like there was no base paint.
This one was primed white as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think for picking the primer colors, when a lot of it comes down to obviously the color that you're going to be painting over it. If you want a bright look and you're using reds and yellows or even greens, then having a white undercoat is important. Having that white primer coat. If you're painting darker blues or metallics or dark browns, grays, blacks, then a black prime is a good way to go. If you're using an airbrush to do your priming, there's quite a few great gray basically primers.
Do you do that a lot?
You can use. I don't. I typically use like rattle cans, cans for those. Typically the GW primers. That's what I've used for 20 odd years. So
Okay.
I kind of know how they're going to react and what result I'm going to get. So I'm pretty comfortable with those.
Okay.
But there are a lot of other sort of primers out there that people use. But yeah, so it really comes down to what colors you're going to be using, what your main color is going to be. If you're doing a model that's going to be all black except for a few small areas of bright yellow,
Right.
going with the black primer is really the best, and then just paint white over those areas first before you go with the bright yellow.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I'd recommend for that. Yeah. Oops.
Johnny's working on a project.
He's going to adjust the camera here. Oh, fixing my mic.
There we have it.
When I paint, I'm super active. I bounce around a lot. Maybe
Johnny.
it's the shirt. Hey, Drew.
Yeah, it could be the shirt.
So,
Is that better, Johnny?
how does that sound now?
Yeah? All right.
With everybody? Great. But I will admit that for the longest time, I primed everything black.
Okay.
That was my sort of standard go-to. And I got used to painting everything from a black primer. When I started painting Dark Age models, actually, trying to sort of copy some of the schemes from the studio paint jobs that they have, I started to go with a what they call it, a zenithal prime, which is where you prime everything black,
Right.
and then from an angle, like 45-degree sort of angle, you prime down with white. So, the top of the model is white.
Okay.
Then as it sort of curves around, like muscle tones or legs or weapons or whatever, it's sort of black on the bottom.
Right.
So it gives you that, shows you where that shading sort of should be happening.
Okay. It kind of represents like a light source coming down.
Yeah.
To show that
Yeah,
difference.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So
Chris?
it's a different sort of feel to
Okay.
sort of.
I think I may have, when we did the speed paint, I did paint one with a slight all black, then a slight white over that to give it some depth.
Yep.
Or
Yeah,
that shading. Chris wonders who won the Golden Brush. Well, the Golden Brush was won by Drew, even though he did a great job. I may have made a minor miscalculation in allowing the like button, to be a choice for winners. But that's okay.
Nah.
Drew did an amazing job and absolutely deserved the win.
Drew was awesome. Yeah. The white scar that he painted was excellent.
Yeah.
I was blown away by the icon that he painted. When I saw that, I was like, hang on, how did he get it? That was like a sculpted shoulder pad. It looked like.
Right.
He did an amazing job.
He's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. It was awesome.
Everybody loves the Wailing Core shirt.
Maybe next Tuesday I have to remember to wear my Wayland Yutani shirt.
Yes.
I'm
going to say yes to that.
Just so I can show that I do have a different shirt.
You don't have to show them they have a different shirt. I mean, any show you see on TV, they're always wearing the same clothes all the time.
Continuity, right?
Right.
It's like I never even left. What's next? Oh.
All right, I'm going to put...
Dave has different shirts. He just has 20 versions of the same shirt, but they're technically different shirts.
That's right.
It saves me so much time in the morning. I don't have to think about what I'm going to wear.
It's super easy.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So, Justice League comes out next week.
Okay.
Are you a fan of that particular franchise right now, or?
Sure.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan.
Okay.
I enjoy it, yeah, for sure. I think I didn't see Wonder Woman in the theaters, but I saw it recently and
Okay.
thought it was great.
Yeah,
I
Wonder
really
Woman
enjoyed
was
it.
amazing.
So much action. And,
I love the scene where she goes across the, no man's land.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I had read somewhere on the internet, so it must be true, that Warner Brothers wanted to actually cut that scene
wow.
from the movie. And it's like, why would you cut that? That's like the most inspirational scene in the movie.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that was great. Definitely a cool scene.
And I'm really excited to see The Flash on the big screen.
Right. Okay. Yeah, actually, good point. Good point. I hadn't thought about that.
I like the TV show, and you get to see some really cool special effects on the TV show.
Yep.
They have to work within a certain budget, yeah.
Right.
And
yep.
so they don't get to utilize that whole lightning and all the stuff that we get to see on a big budget film.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really cool to see the Flash in action.
I think it will be very cool. Very exciting. And I think certainly is as well, after all the hype, all the build up, seeing Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Yeah.
We'll see what Aquaman's going to be like on the big screen.
Yeah, it's going to be cool
pretty
too.
Interesting. Yeah.
And the fact that he's kind of got that whole like savage look to him.
Yeah.
is
Rather
really
than
cool.
the clean cut.
The clean cut,
Yeah.
blonde-haired guy who's, talks to fish.
Yeah.
That has always been the portrayal of him in animation, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty cool to see that.
All right.
I mean, we touched on it briefly on Tuesday, but I didn't ask you. Are you more a Marvel guy or a DC guy? Or are you anything sort of graphic
Okay.
novel story related?
Well, I am a fan of all comics.
Yep.
The politically correct answer. But in each publishing house, from Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, Aspen, Boom Studios, Dynamite, you name it, Oni Press, any of them, there are characters in those universes or in those publishing houses that I like, and there are those that I can pass on.
Okay.
So, so for Marvel, I do tend to gravitate towards Marvel more, and it's not always because they have the better stories or anything. But
Right.
I really like the fact that when you are, talking about a character and they are describing where they're at, and they're saying, "Well, we're in Hell's Kitchen, New York." I've been there.
Right.
I know it exists. It's real. It's a real place, and I can relate to that.
Yep.
Geography. But when you hear Bloodhaven or Central City, it's like,
Okay.
oh,
Sure. Where the hell is this?
Yeah, where is this
Yeah.
on the map? Because they'll say, Bloodhaven, but they'll also reference New York or they'll reference other cities, but there's all these make-believe cities in the DC universe.
Right.
So that kind of bothers me a little bit, but not to the point where I get enraged and go all nerd rage
Sure.
and stuff. Because the DC stories, a lot of them are really good. Just
Okay. Cool.
my favorite DC story is Batman 10 Nights of the Beast.
Okay.
It came out in the 80s, and it had this character, this villain called the KG Beast.
Okay.
And
Very
he was like this big, like, muscle-headed assassin, and he was killing off, like, government officials.
Right.
I was like, what? And it was a really cool way. Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on one thing that you had just mentioned with the locations in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
When the first Incredible Hulk movie came out, it took place in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
So I actually saw that movie in San Francisco. So there's a certain like level of like mysticism and just like after you leave the theater and just looking around and like picturing the superhero or just superheroes or Hulk bounding over the Golden Gate Bridge or stuff like that. So I can see what you're saying in that, you can relate to it, but so.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons that I really do like. I tend to gravitate towards Marvel a little bit more than the others.
Just on that as well, and a similar sort of thing. Well, I guess maybe not. But the first time I went to Manhattan was just a very cool experience. But when we got to the New York City Library, I was like, after we'd sort of gone up to the steps and gone up to the front door and then run down screaming, going, "That was your plan, get her!"
Nice.
We got down the bottom and I was like, "Oh, here's where Uncle Ben died."
Yeah.
It's like,
crazy,
okay,
right?
I do like that aspect.
Yeah.
There is another connection there.
Right.
There's not an overt part of the story, really.
Right.
So,
And that's one of the things with like a lot of the independent publishers. If the stories aren't based in a fantasy world, like Mouse Guard, where it's about these little anamorphic mice that are like in a Middle Ages, like medieval times type storyline.
yep.
A lot of the independent titles also utilize the real world locations and
Right.
content to build their stories around, which I really do like.
Yeah. Yeah. It is good.
And then,
Cool.
like I was saying, so on the DC side, the Batman 10 Nights of the Beast was my favorite story that I ever
Right.
read.
Yeah.
On the Marvel side, I have two that are like the ones that really like hooked me into the Marvel U. And it's funny, is one of them was Contest of Champions,
Okay.
and the other was Marvel Superheroes Secret War. It's like the original Secret War that took place in the 80s. And both those take place in not our world.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
Radio.
everything I just said about it. I love the fact that it's New York or wherever. And
Sure.
like they take them to these other planets and stuff. But that's one of the good things about the Marvel universe is they can do that too.
Okay. Cool.
And still bring you home.
Yeah.
So for the big two, those are my favorites.
Okay.
How about you?
Excellent.
Did you read any of those back when you were like a teenager?
This is going to be my kind of dangerous confession, I guess.
Oh,
I haven't really read any comics
wow.
at all. So
Okay.
not really any comics. But I've worked with a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
who have been like super passionate about
Okay.
comics. So pretty much anything I know about comics and the comic universes
Right.
is from osmosis.
Okay.
It's just sitting in an environment where people are constantly talking about
Okay. I can see
about the
that.
different characters and so on. So yeah. So sometimes you'll say something and I'll be able to pick up on it.
Right.
And I'm sure there'll be other times when you'll be saying things and I'll be sitting here nodding and smiling and having absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
Well, one of the things about where we're working
Oh, yeah.
here, I literally have a library of graphic novels
Yeah.
out in the back here. If you want to read something, it can be done.
It can happen. It can happen.
Walter, you are absolutely right. We do need a Rom Space Knight movie. What a great character. Also was one of the covers of the Overstreet comic book price guide this past year.
Okay.
Was a Rom cover. Brad says the movies aren't meant to inspire you, they're meant to make you hate.
No.
James says right now Thor is one of the best Marvel ones for sure. Okay. Redwall, also a great one. Redwall is another one about like medieval mice and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's Jacques. I can't remember the writer's name. I have an autographed copy of it at home. I just it's like crap.
Nice.
Yeah, I have some weird stuff. I was at Dragon Con this year. And I went to the charity auction.
Okay.
They always have some really cool stuff. So this is actually going to be twofold. Go to the charity auction,
Yep.
and because I wanted to see what they had for role-playing games. And every once in a while they have some really good like old role-playing games or old board games.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, maybe we'll come across something cool. They had an autographed copy of the new Starfinder core rulebook.
Okay.
So that game just dropped at Gen
for
Con
sure.
this year. And so they had an autographed copy there, and it was autographed by literally the entire creative team
Oh, wow.
at Paizo. So it had over 30 signatures in it.
Wow. That's huge.
And I was bidding on it, and this other kid was bidding on it. That thing went for $350.
Wow.
I was like, dang it. I just couldn't go that high,
Yep.
on it. But they had an autographed copy of Redwall in the lot as well.
Right.
And it came up a little later, and I was like, all right, I'm
Good for that one.
I'm good for that one. So
Cool.
got myself a copy of that, and that's like really cool.
Excellent.
Yeah. So if you're at a convention and they have a charity auction, you should check them out, because there was some other really cool stuff that went like stupid cheap.
Yeah.
Like autographed stuff, artwork. I got
Right.
I got a sketch, a sketch of Spider-Man for $5 from an artist that charges $50
Wow.
for like a even simpler sketch than what I purchased.
Wow.
Or what I won
Okay.
in the auction. So yeah, check out charity auctions.
Charity
Yeah,
auctions,
yeah,
okay.
They're so
I'll
cool.
keep an eye on them.
Especially if you go to like a true gaming convention like Gen Con, you're gonna get there's gonna be miniatures and
That
old school stuff all the time.
the auction room at Gen Con has always intimidated me. It's just I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm kind of afraid to walk in there in case I like stick my hand up.
Whoops.
Or there's something happens. I nod to somebody on the other side of the room.
$25.
Hey, how you doing? What?
$150? Yeah, I got a yes over here.
What have I done?
Yeah. And sold to the guy with the Wayland shirt on. It's like, well, I just walked in the room. Yeah, gotcha.
Sold to the dumbass. Yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely encourage anybody that hasn't hit up a charity auction at a convention do it, because
Okay.
especially Gen Con, because you got like all the old schoolers are there.
Yeah.
From TSR days and stuff, and people from like Wizards of the Coast, and all these bigger companies are always donating things to these things.
Right.
Like, you'll see like a white box Dungeons and Dragons, the original white box set.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's ridiculous.
That is wild. Maybe I'll have to find a chaperone. Somebody I can sit next to and follow their actions.
Walter Bledsaw says, I played Bunnies and Burrows RPG when he was a kid. B&B was like first edition D&D. I can see that. Redwall. Everybody's yelling out Redwall. It's such a good story. If you haven't read it.
I have not. I think my eldest daughter is starting to get into, she really enjoys reading graphic novels.
How old is she?
She's 8.
Okay.
So I think, I suspect over the next couple of years I'll be spending a lot of time in comic book stores. So
I like it. That's the best place to spend. Time and money? Is that the right word?
time and money?
Yeah.
Sure. For me, it's the game store. So
Of course.
yeah,
And what's nice is a lot of comic shops are now also game stores.
this is true. You can combine it.
Yep, and they have to in a lot of aspects.
Yep.
You got to have a diversity of product that fits all of the geek culture needs,
Yep.
and comics and gaming literally go hand in hand. Because I can't think of too many comic book properties that aren't somehow represented in gaming, and vice versa. You know, I know there's Warhammer comics.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But, what was I going to say? I think just recently Essen, was it Monolith, showed off their Batman board game.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Miniature board game.
Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that fits in with everything.
The miniatures look amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah. I saw the very cool diorama they had at Gen Con as well.
Mini Painting Studio says, can't wait for Tremors, the TTG. TTG? What is TTG?
Tabletop game?
Oh, tabletop game? Probably,
tabletop game.
yeah. Probably. I'm sitting here. I'm thinking like LCG, living card game, CCG, collectible card game.
That's where my head was going. It was like tradable game?
Yeah.
No,
like,
that doesn't make sense.
There's a Redwall game being worked on. Check YouTube or Steam. I went to a local shop once that had games in the name. Walked in and it was a comic store with no games. I was so confused.
For sure.
They'll get you. Sometimes though the games aspect at some comic shops is like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic will be their games.
Something that's sort of small on the counter space.
All right, James, have a good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to everybody for joining us. If you guys are watching and you're enjoying what we're doing here, having fun, listening to our very mellow, chill voices.
Crazed banter.
Please share this content on your social media, on your Facebook page, or in a group that you think might enjoy this kind of content. We do appreciate everybody's assist on growing this community. I mean, it's grown pretty well and pretty steadily since we started back in January.
Yep.
Doing the painting show and others. And plus, having you here, it's like our numbers are just climbing even faster, Dave. So we appreciate that. It's like when you get a titan.
I love it when you talk me up.
When you get a titan of the industry in here, it absolutely helps. So if you are
on a tiny scale,
yeah, we're at 1/28. So if you are watching this and you haven't joined our Facebook group, which is Painting Happy Little Minis Facebook group, go join that too. You're going to have to request to join. We'll add you in there, and you can show us all the cool miniatures you're painting and projects you're working on.
Yep.
And we'll absolutely, fawn over them because that's what we do. It's like, there's so much good talent out there. Dang it, Mini Painting Studios, rest in peace, Kurt.
Yeah.
He ain't dead. He didn't die, I swear you, he didn't die. No, he just moved to Ohio to work for Academy Games. He'll still be
he's dead to us.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I've heard moving to Ohio is pretty much the same.
What's that?
Moving to Ohio is pretty much the
pretty
same.
much dying. Yeah. Yeah, unless it's Sandusky, Ohio, and you got Cedar Point. Otherwise, dead.
Well, that's the area he's moved.
He moved up near Sandusky. Yeah. Also, like we said, next Tuesday we'll be doing. It sounds like Turtles is the winner.
I think Turtles. What does everybody think? So the choices were Turtles or John Carter?
Turtles, John Carter, Red Sonja, Tarzan mix under the Pathfinder Worldscape stuff by Ninja Division, or Dark Age again. We wanted to play around with some Dark Age stuff. So, but a lot of people did make comments in there about Turtles, so I think Turtles is going to be the winner.
Great.
That'll be by IDW Games. Again, we have been painting the Ogre Miniatures Set 1 by Steve Jackson Games. This is a look at my howitzer. Not too bad. I think it'll be all right.
Cool. Yep.
It's tabletop worthy.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. Very cool.
All right. And then we've got this beast.
Some more details going on. So, what time we got? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hours go by fast.
They do. Just quickly then, if you want to pull that off, I'll stick some. I'm going to stick some weathering powders on there.
Okay. So he brought Dave brought some weathering powder. I've never used it, so I'm actually just gonna watch this technique because I've never seen it before.
Okay. So basically, on the sort of all the maps that we see for Ogre is that sort of Mars, red, orange kind of feel, sort of wasteland feel. So I got some terracotta earth here from Secret Weapon Miniatures. It's basically a pigment powder, so very fine sort of ground up pigments, and I'll just sort of show you on the camera here. It's kind of tough, but basically just getting an old brush, dabbing on some of the powder, and then brushing it into around the tracks here to give that dusty,
like it is like
it's been traveling.
Traveling right across that sandy desert. Yeah.
Yeah. So. It's one of the things I love using this particular color for on my Dark Age models as well, on their bases. So once you've got everything painted up, if you've got rusty metal and cracked earth and strange rocks and that sort of thing, you can tie them all together with a dusting of the weathering powder, weathering pigments.
I mean, it definitely like sets the mood on that like quickly.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at it now that he's just put a little bit on it, it already looks like it's. If this were on a terrain field, it would look like it's part of it moving through it.
Yep. And then you can sort of also hit some other areas on the top of it, so you can see where the dust would have been thrown up and settled. Typically, it's like coming out behind those track sections. So.
And this is called what again?
So these are pigments or weathering pigments, weathering powders, that kind of thing. So if you want to, you can just sort of put them on like that. Can't quite see it with the blue there.
Yeah.
But you can see a little bit of dustiness at the front. You'll see that as that comes around.
Yeah, you can see it more here.
Yep.
Inside the grooves and the cracks on the tread, and up on where, like you said, where it throw itself up onto the back end of the.
Yeah, where those missile pods are.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's against the red on the model as well. It doesn't show up too much, but you can imagine some of that up around the like the blue on the different tanks that you've got.
Right.
So like the heavy tank or the
missile launcher.
Missile launcher.
So these guys.
Yep.
I'll put them both up here so you guys can see them.
So up around there, we didn't actually get to paint any of the GEVs, but just gonna pop that on. You can imagine if you paint the top of that GEV blue, like the other tanks, you paint the skirt around it black, and then some of the dusting, the weathering powders in there.
Oh, yeah.
You don't really need to highlight the black at all.
Right.
You can just go straight in with those weathering powders and give you that depth.
Nice. And the weathering powders are like a paint pigment, right?
Yeah.
It's dried up.
Yeah. Essentially, it's like taking chalk or pastels, artist pastels. You can actually you can create your own pigments by using pastels and getting some sandpaper and just scraping them down.
Okay.
And
that's good to know because I have a lot of pastels at my house.
Right.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool.
Now this is which company makes this?
This is Secret Weapon Miniatures.
Okay.
They're from California.
Nice.
They do loads of cool stuff. They do loads of resin bases.
Okay.
They've got like a weathering paint line as well. They do terrain, all sorts of cool things.
So here's a question for you. It's not in the chat. It's just this is from me to you.
Yep.
Do you also build terrain?
Do I?
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you guys like to see that? Would you like to see
Would
some?
like to see us building some terrain?
Yeah, see a terrain
Sure.
build.
Yeah.
Because one of the things is we do a nice little terrain build. We can take some of the pictures of the miniatures we're painting. They'll look really good on some terrain.
Right. Yeah, we can do that.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you guys want to see that, just comment in the comments here and let us know in the Facebook group too, and we'll make it happen.
Yeah,
so that's it. That's our hour. We've been here an hour already. Again, thank you guys.
60 minutes.
Right. Yeah. Thank you guys for participating and joining us in the chat and watching us here on the show. We appreciate everybody. Make sure you go to your local game store. That's going to be our mantra.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Every episode. Go to your local game store, become part of the gaming community there, and play all the new stuff.
Yeah,
so much new stuff.
Just go and have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun at your local store.
There you go. All right, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. We will see you next week. This has been Painting Happy Little Minis. I'm Rick.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you soon.
Don't forget to subscribe to Game Trade Media. Leave a like and comment on what videos you'd like to see next.